Good afternoon. My name is Luís Samacumbi. I'm actually the youngest of 6 children born to Dolphy Sangeve and Juliana Mtsoma, who, like most Angolans and Africans, were small farmers who grew beans, potatoes, coffee, banana, sugarcane, and had also livestock. As a small child, my family had a good life, and the start of the country's 27 years of civil war changed all that and divided my family. When I was just 4 years old, my 14-year-old brother was abducted by UNITA forces. And when I also turned to 14 years old, I was forced to serve the government army, which is the Angolan Liberation Armed Forces. So my family and myself, we fell apart for almost 15 years and only reunited in 2024 when finally after the peace accord in Angola, we were able to reunite. So I have been working since 2002 with young people. I was able to found what I call the Youth Movement for Peace. Is a movement started basically to tackle issues related to peace and including peace with the environment. So we started planting trees in our streets, planting trees in our neighborhoods, in schools, in the churches. So that's where my passion for climate change started. But actually, after meeting Wangari Maathai initiative in Kenya and also attending the COP17 in Durban, South Africa, my inspiration and my motivation to work for climate change increased a lot. Currently, I'm working for the United Nations Population Fund as a program specialist for youth, gender, and humanitarian. Africa's large youth population presents an enormous opportunity for development. Young people and women in Angola and in Africa represent almost 2/3 of the population. So engaging them in climate change related actions is crucial because we are actually tackling the majority of the population who can produce a lot of impact from the community actions to their districts, to their provinces, and to their nations. So it is important to engage youth and women, essentially, because they are key players for development in our continent. And also, in periods of crisis, women, essentially girls, teenagers, are often the first to drop out of school to help their families, make money, do the domestic work, collect firewoods, and do a bunch of activities that are preventing them to lift up their lives and also to contribute to their nation's development. And when family incomes, are in a situation that the family is starving, young people, girls essentially, are the one who most suffer. Girls suffer with early pregnancy. Young people are almost chased out from their communities looking for better places to live. They migrate to city centers where they can find opportunity to sell on the streets and do any other work. So engaging them in all our efforts related to climate change is a plus. Education is crucial in building the knowledge and skills, behaviors change for women, girls, and young people in general. Because if we ensure that they are informed, they have accurate information, they will more be likely to adapt to climate change. And in addition, to support girls to respond for environment and active in leading these issues in their own community. As I have said before, girls essentially are very much used for domestic work, are the ones who are dealing with water at home. If we teach them how to save water, this will be important for our actions related to climate change. And also young people plays a leading role because they are more energetic, they are the one who can be innovative in all actions that the communities, the families, governments, and even churches are putting together in relation to fight against climate change issues. So we can actually count on them if we educate them on climate change, if we make them active participants in our agenda related to climate change, and also bring them to the table, bring their ideas, bring their knowledge, bring what actually from their perspective, it is important to be included, even in decision-making at all levels of their communities, provinces, and countries. So basically, ensuring that young people, women, and especially girls, are fully engaged in our actions will also bring a plus because they are the majority in our communities. So the communities are the most who are taking the burden of climate change. Therefore, communicating what is happening in their communities to other levels of decision-making, it is important because it will illuminate the policymakers to bring up practical actions that the community participate in fulfilling those agenda, because they are the one who suffers the consequences of the climate change in their communities. floodings, drought, livestock that are dying in their communities. They can also better have ideas of how to deal with such a situation in their villages. For instance, here in Angola, in the southern part of Angola, that is suffering a cyclical drought for almost 40 years. There is issues related to schools that are closed up because the areas cannot be populated. People can no longer live in their communities. They have to move with their livestock. And as they move, girls, young people also move with their parents, with their relatives, with their families. So they drop out school. And then if they communicate these concrete consequences that they are facing to the central level, to the decision making, good laws that are not copy and paste, good policies that are not copy and paste, and of course, the actions can be much more concrete and the population can better participate in fighting against the consequences of climate change. Well, it is important because preventative actions are less costly to our African governments' national budgets. It is much more costly to fight to deal with the consequences of climate change. It's like in the health-related topic. If we invest in public health, we better avoid diseases, and therefore more people will be prevented to go to curative health. So in the climate change is the same. If we do saving, let's say if we are taking bath in our home, instead of using 50 or 30 liters, we can likely use less than 5 liters. We are saving. If we are watching our TV at home, and there is no need to keep the TV on while we are going outside, we choose off the TV and the lights in our home. So we are saving. If there is no need to use our car or our cars, there are families who afford to have 2 or more cars. If we decide instead of using all the time our cars, our vehicles, we use innovative ways of walking around. It's more healthy to us, and it's more healthy for our environment. So it is important that our government and the population invest in key preventative actions, because our economy will become better, our social well-being will be much better, and also our security, so to say, will improve. Angola is an oil producer. It comes at the second run after Nigeria. So the tendency of having jobs that also contributes to damage, to harm our environment is huge. But Angola has many rivers, has a huge, arable land. So there are tremendous opportunities here in Angola for green jobs. Farming is a great opportunities here in Angola. Good rivers, although some of the rivers we have are being affected by the climate change, but at least if we invest in agriculture, many young people who in Angola represent 65% of the population will better engage in those available green jobs. The second opportunity is actually training, vocational training, professional training, so that young people who are also the majority of the population who are facing unemployment can learn skills to grab those green jobs available. So fishing is another opportunity for green jobs. We have rivers, we have, all bunch of opportunities for either traditional fishing or, any other kind of job that it is available in Angola, but it is not right now, being put in forefront. People are running for more industrialized job and neglecting those green jobs. Maybe because we still have roads that are not good. And if people produce their crops, they are facing challenges, to transport those harvests to better markets. And this somehow make young people to, move from rural areas to urban areas. And then this also contributes, unfortunately, to damage the climate change, because our cities, our towns are overcrowded, and as a result, people end up, essentially young people end up, in criminal activities. So green jobs are available in Angola. We just need, and in most of African countries are available. We just need to have these green jobs in our top priorities, in the top priorities of our decision makers, in the top of priorities of our government. What actually I have been doing with young people, as I said initially, through the Youth Movement for Peace, I've been engaging young people in initiatives of having informed decisions by bringing to them key and relevant information on climate change. We have what I call book clubs. Book clubs, because of issues related to young people who do not have money to buy books, for instance. If somebody managed to have a book, let's say on climate change related issues or any other topic or subject, 5 or 8 people sit around the table or under the tree or at the bench of a river, then one of them read loudly a certain chapter or a certain paragraph of the book, and they start reflecting on what the book is trying to say. And then from that reflection, they come up with key actions. Another action that I have been engaged in is actually planting trees. During the 27 years of civil war, and now Angola enjoying 20 years, almost 21 years of peace, because the peace accord was signed in 22, there are this need of planting trees in our communities because of the damage that the civil war did to our environment. So planting trees on Saturday, young people coming together and decide to plant trees, and under those trees that were already planted before, they organize picnics, they organize camping activities, they organize all kinds of activities to, make their time and their life more healthy. So these are just some of the activities that I'm carrying out. Football match in the villages. I do have 2 teams in my home village, and I provide support with them with balls, with equipment, and then they organize themselves and play on Saturday and Sunday. They move around on their motorbikes from a village to a village, gathering them around. I'm also contributing for development of their minds, their skills, and also their village, because they are not going to, engage in criminality, because they are busy with something else, which is healthy for the community. To my fellow African people and governments, I would like to remind us that Africa is set to suffer the most from climate change. Therefore, we should increase our efforts to understand better what is happening in this particular area of climate change. Sharpen our knowledge in order to act correctly. Another thing that I would like to inspire African people and our governments is that our African governments themselves must take a whole of government approach to tackling climate change. Don't leave it to specific ministries like the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Environment, whatever ministry. It should take the whole nation to save our world, to save our Africa, to save our communities. Lastly, I would like to remind all of us, African people and governments, that the stresses that climate change brings can very, very quickly worsen existing social, economic, and political tension and turn them into violent conflict, like it is already happening in some of our African nations. So, robust and consistent climate change action are the gateway to peace and security in our continent, the continent of hope, as I call.